Well, I mean, they're pro Vladimir Putin's life, apparently. Like, they're pro Russian life at this point. The Ukrainians got to lay down and take it. But we should just, the MTGs of the world, like, we should just, look, you're going to lose some Ukrainians, but it's better in the short term if we just get it over with and just let them lose rather than support them in their fight for freedom.
We always hurt the ones we love. You brought up Marjorie Taylor Greene, didn't you?
Oh, God.
All right, I think we're going to inflict 15 on him. Because, you know why, Hal? Because monkeypox, poo water.
Wait till you hear this.
So why is Bill Gates running everything? Why does he get to decide that? You know, Bill Gates, I want to remind everyone, he wants to grow fake meat in a petri dish, and he wants us to drink poop water. So I don't know why we're letting Bill Gates decide our health decisions. But here's the deal. Bill Gates is very concerned about monkeypox because this is something apparently he can make a lot of money off of, and him and his other buddies. But in the blue state of Massachusetts, someone has contracted monkeypox. Perhaps they got it from Canada, from Justin Trudeau's lovely country up there. And then even now they're reporting monkeypox cases in Sweden and Italy. That is disgusting.
Okay.
How?
First of all,
your thoughts on her thoughts?
Or lack thereof. I don't know geographically her belief that Massachusetts and Canada are attached.
Also,
let's start there.
Right.
That there's a river that Bill Gates wants us to drink poo water. I'm sure that's in reference to like filtration and coming up with a better system to purify water.
Sure.
So that
bastard
right.
person. Yeah.
And not us, by the way. Most countries, like third world countries and developing countries where they really have a problem with sewage and those kind of things, God forbid you would want those people to survive and drink clean drinking water. And the only source is used and reused and stuff. Sure. India has a very big problem with water, for example. Maybe that's what she's talking about.
Can I point out that there's only a finite amount of water on Earth, and throughout all of history, every single bit of that water has touched poo at some point.
Yeah.
Right. And especially,
she ought to with the amount of she talks. I mean, I would
exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like she's got it. It's all over the rim of the glass.
All right, let's go magically back to Ginny Thomas because I slammed you into a hard break.
Yes,
but okay.
So Ginny Thomas is, for all legal purposes, a rando citizen. And rando citizens can call the AG of whoever and say, you guys need to look into this. The problem is that those AGs are going to go, this is the wife of a sitting Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
If I listen to her, it will help me out. But from a legal standpoint,
I mean, the implication is just do this. The Supreme Court will take care of the rest.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the problem is there are no rules about the family of SCOTUS because it's a lifetime appointment. And you would almost have no one, go, by the way, your whole family for the rest of your life can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. And so the idea is that they've created this like interpersonal ethics issue within the SCOTUS that never gets used, that's supposed to patch that gap that, normally in a functioning society that isn't run by a third generation loser who, rich kid loser who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, you wouldn't normally have these problems.
Yeah.
But in the case of Clarence Thomas and the rest of these guys, this is a real severe issue.
Yeah.
So there's going to need to be some kind of separation between the two of it where people can there's got to be some teeth in this law. And there just isn't right now because of their fear that nobody will ever be a SCOTUS again.
Okay, let's skip to Rick Scott because as you labeled this, flirting with racism, was this him talking about, should we condemn white supremacy?
Yeah.
Okay.
No good.
So you would tell all Senate Republicans running for election that they need to, each and every one of them, condemn white nationalism?
Well, I tell people what I believe, and every Senate candidate on both sides is going to decide what's important to them.
But you would
and
advise
what's important
them.
to the citizens of their state. But I can tell you, I'm clear.
So the answer is yes.
If they ask me, I would say, be clear. Be clear. I mean, we do not believe, none of us, I don't think any American should believe in white supremacy or hatred of any kind. I mean, that's wrong.
Okay. Senator Scott, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
Hatred of any kind. That's adorable.
Because both sides do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Way to like water down. Like we're not talking about like, ugh, I hate Duran Duran. You know what I mean? Like, every time it comes on, and yet I keep dancing every time it comes on. Like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a very specific, active, militaristic, dangerous, and dynamic form of hate that's caused some mass shootings, lately. And the threat, remember this time last year, when the Biden administration, when they first came in, were starting to put together a working task group on domestic terrorism, the kind of stuff like we saw in Buffalo that they were warning about a year ago. And all over Newsmax, OAN, and Fox, they were saying they're trying to turn the law against white people for just being white and domestic terror. The biggest threat, they're saying the biggest threat is Americans. Like, no, the biggest domestic threat is Americans. That's what makes it a domestic threat. And specifically, there are three groups. There's white nationalists, black nationalists, and other. Yeah. And there's a huge drop off after white nationalists in terms of impact on our society. Yeah. They are the biggest concern.
Can I just say, I've been saying this all morning. Hal, I feel like Herschel Walker is like a perfect example of how deep GOP's racism go. They're like, oh, Raphael Warnock. Oh, black guy. We have a black guy. I mean, it's just that's doesn't right. Matter. Yes. They did it with their misogyny with you have Hillary, we have Sarah Palin. Same, right? Vagina.
Well, the idea is that they're not going to find somebody qualified to go up against them
but he's
of
not
that
only
same race.
Not qualified. I was glad that this was a former Republican Party campaign consultant, Tara Setmeyer. Have you seen her, Setmeyer? She was on TV yesterday. She said, this just gave Senator Warnock a much greater chance at winning re-election in November. He's been doing an excellent job as senator. He's very well respected in the state. I've met him, Hal, and gotten to see him speak in person. He's everything you think he is. He is the absolute 180-degree opposite of Herschel Walker. Right. He is... Anyway, she went on to say, then you compare him to an absolute degenerate like Herschel Walker. This is a Republican strategist. She said he's a degenerate loser, liar, fraud, and domestic abuser. And this is someone who the Republican Party has backed as their Senate candidate. Shame on Mitch McConnell and everyone else who has put up with the sham that Herschel Walker is. What an embarrassment. I mean, not only is he a liar, he lied about graduating top of his class in Georgia. Let's be honest, he's also has a violent history against women police officers. He's talked openly about murderous thoughts. I mean, really? Not only that, it just came out recently. I believe it was the AP report. There are questions about his role in a veterans charity, which is something that he's used as a point in his biography and his resume, something he's done working with veterans. There's questions about the role he played there and whether he preyed on veterans and scammed the government. This is so on brand for Donald Trump and who he supports. I mean, and this is not only the one of a string of domestic abusers he's supported, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, birds of a feather, and that's what he looks for. Fellow travelers in his in his behavior set. But also, they don't think black people or women in the upper echelon of this are qualified. So it doesn't matter if they find a person who's qualified of the same race to go, okay, we're going to run somebody because we think that that's necessary in this zone. Like they don't genuinely think women are qualified. Look at Sarah Palin. Again, 70% likability rating when she was running with McCain, 20% electability in the Republican Party. They don't think women should be in positions of power. It was a mockery of them competing. That's why they made her VP.
Yeah. Hal, I've been asking this all morning. I know it's been a while, but as I understand it, there is a penis involved in pregnancy yes. Generally, and at some point, yeah. And so this is not a women's issue. How do we reframe this? Like I was saying, if nothing else, it starts at a quarter of your salary, child support. Like this is a men's issue as much as it's a women's issue.
Exactly.
It's about freedom, isn't it? It's about everybody being able to make their own choices. Right.
The issue in this is, by the way, men have are if you look at the polling. Are drifting more, they were solidly in the support, just like the general public. And men's support of women's right to choose is actually growing. Women, on the other hand, have been drifting towards the Republican Party. The only polling shift that there's been is right-leaning independents going more to the Republican Party. They have closed some part of the gender gap with this reveal because there are a bunch of people who gave up on the Republican Party because they were single-issue voters about being anti-choice. And now that this is coming out, this is driving them back. The difference is that they're not going to vote because they're also the QAnon maggot crowd, and they think the election's rigged and Trump has told them why bother to some degree. So that's the problem they're going to have this fall. But it's, men are, statistically speaking, well in on women's right to choose. The problem I have with AOC's quotes there, and I understand where she's going, and I appreciate her a lot, is that is exactly the argument the right is using about these women forcing their choice, quote unquote, onto an unborn child. That's the exact same. You're forcing your, don't, because you're bored or whatever. They have this awful view of women that, like these people are literally talking about like women want to abort a baby after it's born. Like, that's not abortion. That's just a murder. That's just like, it's like, then that's, what is the death penalty but a murder in the 7,000th trimester, whatever. Like, what are you talking about at that point? So this argument is a much more of a Gordian knot than folks think, and it isn't as cut and dried. And men are, like I said, polling-wise, men are drifting in support of choice.
This is their hyperbole, where they're always like, they want to kill children in the 9th month, in the 8th month, when it's halfway out the birth canal. Like this guy that was pestering the doctor at the congressional hearing. About 1% of abortions are performed at 21 or more weeks into a pregnancy. That is typically at a stage because there is severe fetal anomalies or threats to the mother's life. Like it is
both. Yes. Most of the time it's both. Like you literally have a child that
people don't like wait 8 months and go, I changed my mind.
We're talking about like not having a functioning brain. Its heart is outside its body. It's attached to the uterine wall by its skin, so that when it is, the birthing process will tear the woman to pieces.
Yes.
And that's when that happens. It is not because they're like, you know what? I painted the room blue and I just decided let's start over. Like, it's absurd.
Yeah.
It's this, and it shows, I think it's more about this misogynistic view of what they think women's intellectual capacity is like, or moral culpability. There's obviously some leftover, like, you started the whole Apple thing. I know I bid it after, but you made me. Like, there's some, leftover Garden of Eden crap.
Also, not to mention, a lot of their witnesses are, did you see the House Judiciary? So this hearing last week concerning abortion access, an expert witness, that would be by Republicans.
Right.
Yes. Right. She made a head scratcher of a claim that Washington, D.C. is literally powered by burning fetuses.
Yes.
Burning fetuses.
Yeah.
Burning
Absolutely.
She said, hang on. She said bodies are thrown in medical waste bins and in places like Washington, D.C., burned to power the lights of cities, homes, and streets. Americans United for Life President Catherine somebody said. Let that image sink in for a moment. The next time you turn on the light, think of the incinerators. Think of what we're doing to ourselves so callously and so numbly. Amanda tweeted, Republicans aren't even trying to make their lies sound plausible anymore.
I don't understand why people don't just immediately play a clip of Trump going, we're energy independent for the first time.
Never.
We're getting all of our energy from domestic sources. Sure, it was my idea to use babies to fuel things, but they're homegrown. They're American babies. American babies first is my energy policy.
As of October 2021, just in case anyone cares, 93% of the district's power generation came from natural gas, coal, and nuclear power plants. Wind and other renewables, not fetuses, comprise the remaining 7%. So they are 0% fetus.
Well, as anybody, first of all, it's not about lighting the fetus; it's keeping it lit. That's the hard part.
Oh, jeez! Oh my
God!
Hal Louise Sparks.
Look, I am making a joke not about the setting on fire of children to power the lights, but the absurdity of the claim.
Yes.
Steve in Chicago, you're on with your homeboy.
Yes.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hello, yes, thank you for taking my call. And I think that it's an important
Steve from the
discussion because we allow. Yes, exactly. Well, we've allowed the right to corner us because you'll have some debate in which somebody talks about things like partial birth abortion. There is no such term in the medical community. So,
the fetal heartbeat, Bill. There is not a heartbeat at 6 weeks. Any doctor will tell you that.
Exactly.
There is not a fetal heartbeat.
Exactly.
It's an electrical pulse.
They're having these debates with us based on a faulty premise, and we allowed them to have that to establish the terms under which we debate, and I think that that's a mistake.
Yep.
And to frame us all as somehow, I'm for a woman's right to choose, but no, I'm not one of these people who would say, if we decided to wipe the slate clean and create brand new legislation on this, I'm not one of these people who would be comfortable with saying, okay, a woman is 8 months pregnant and she just broke up with her boyfriend, the father of the child, found some new guy, and now she wants to have an abortion. I'm not comfortable with that. And guess what? The vast majority of people who want to have to secure a woman's right to choose are not comfortable with that. So let's stop, allowing them to label us all as wanting abortion on demand, that you can have it, and we're just fine. You want to walk in 8.5 months pregnant and get an abortion, those of us who support a woman's right to choose, we're fine with that. We are not all fine with that, and we have never been fine with that.
All right.
That's
and that is already not legal under, okay. It's as you said, it is a tiny 1% of the cases, and it is an extreme medical emergency for the mother and or the child.
Steve makes a great point about them setting the terms for the argument.
Yeah.
And the idea that there is no such thing as a partial birth abortion.
Let's start with them calling themselves pro-life.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my
exactly.
God. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.